And welcome back to the Metal Hand of God podcast. I am your host, Wayne, and this beautiful, lovely gentleman that wears toupees made of beef fur is...
What? What? Hello?
Hi!
Hi.
You know him
I'm
as
the
the
Rum
Rum
Guy.
Guy.
I don't know what the fuck that is.
And joining us from the Streamer Nation, from the guy who watches other men pee and who loves drawing comic books, the one, the only, Tim Lottie.
I knew it was me with the watching other men pee thing. Stories that piggybacks off the story I was just telling. They have these giant, like, circular things in the Superdome that look like fountains in the men's room.
Yes.
And I remember going to the Superdome as a kid and, like, peeing in it. You know what I mean? Like,
I remember those
like,
days, too.
And I hadn't been back to the Dome in a long time. And, I walked in. I had to use the restroom or whatever. And I almost went to go do it. And I was just like, nah, man. I was like, I'm just going to use a urinal. I was like, it's kind of weird. Turns out they're sinks or something. Like, you're supposed to wash your hands in the fucking thing.
Yeah.
It's so weird, man.
Yeah, because I just remember I remember as a child as well peeing in those.
Like, I was for like nostalgia.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, man, I remember doing this as a kid, and I remember thinking it was odd then. And like two kids walked in and like were washing their hands. I'm like, Jesus, that could have been a disaster. They could have put me in dome jail for that one.
Yeah, you know, it's funny is like you say that was the first thing I remembered as a kid too, is walking in there going, you know what, I used to pee in this thing. Why are you guys washing your hands in it?
Dude, it's if you ever go to the Superdome, they're in there, and I really remember men doing that as a kid.
Me too.
I wonder if they do too. Like, or maybe I don't know, but like they were. I think it's just that people were washing their hands.
Right.
You know, like that was. I think they had sinks on the wall, dude. These things have been there for 30 years.
Oh,
and
if not longer.
In the middle of the, I'm telling you, I remember as a kid like going in there and pissing because other dudes were doing it. So you would just be like staring at another dude like pissing into this fountain. That was the 80s, bro. That was the 80s in New Orleans, man. It was like the Wild West.
So, guys, welcome to the Metal Hand of God podcast. Yeah, opening up this story with a man pissing in front of each other.
Yeah, we got beef toupees, watching people urinate.
Beef toupee. I didn't have no idea where that came from, Rum.
That's hysterical, man.
I just knew you liked beef toupees.
You know what I'm finding hysterical is
what?
There's this conversation you guys apparently had about this Russian thing. I'm interested to know what Tim is up to. What's going on?
Well, okay. Well, me and Tim have been talking back and forth for like about a few weeks now because I told you that, we're going to, we kind of announced it a little bit on the show a couple of weeks ago about how we're going to start doing some streaming stuff. And yes. Tim is what's been getting me more and more involved in this. He's the one he's basically the guy doing all the research, and I'm just going to fucking jump on whatever he tells me to do.
Okay, good.
Because he's already experimenting with everything. You know what I'm saying? So like as soon as he gets it all straightened out, we'll jump on and do our stuff too. But
sure. I'm very obsessive, so I'm somebody good to have.
Right.
Doing that, like I'm deep diving.
Good.
And like so he's found his niche. He's found his niche.
Okay. Oh, all right.
He's found his new his people.
I may have.
Well, that's cool.
So what was going on is that I was thinking about live streaming while I draw. Just whatever, you know what I mean? I was just going to live stream and have music playing and I'm drawing anyway,
Sure.
I might as well film it, some cool content. Maybe somebody appreciates it, maybe they don't. People are telling me different things, right?
Okay.
They're telling, some people are saying do it. And I started looking up streaming sites and I wasn't going to go like straight to like Instagram or one of those. I wanted to like kind of cut my teeth on some of these other sites. And so I found like DLive and I found Mixer and Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found another one that is specifically for streaming art, which is pretty cool. And then I found another one that was called VK. And so my game plan was just like, you know what, dude, I'm just going to do one a day. I'm just going to sign up, build a profile, and we'll just see what happens.
Sure.
Turns out that one that I'm getting the most traction on is VK. And VK ends up being one of the top 2, top 3, maybe number 1 social media site for Russians under the age of 35. So it's basically like it's basically like a Facebook for Russia and Eastern Europe and some of Europe and stuff like that. Cool. What also ends up happening is that, and I wasn't even ready to tell this story at all, but what also ends up happening is I start tagging things. So I start tagging Ghostbusters, and dude, nobody's following me. So I'm just kind of like playing around and just, I'm doing the same thing on everything. And sure. And I start getting some feedback from some people, and I start I'm jumping into Ghostbuster groups and stuff, whatever. Long story short, one of the main guys over there that's very much involved in the Russian Ghostbusters like hits me up, and we start chatting. He starts adding me in some groups. He starts sharing my stuff because it doesn't work like normal Facebook that I can tell where you can just share in a group. So the moderator has to share. So he starts sharing my stuff. And yeah, man, it just in the last like few days, it just kind of snowballed where I'm gaining a lot of I hate the word followers, but a lot of people are starting to join my community. And dude, I'm talking back and forth with everybody, and dude, they're friggin' dude, I love Russia. They're awesome, man. They are very, dude, what a helpful group of people. They're telling me like what to hashtag, what to not hashtag, stuff like that. Here's the other funny thing. So I do work on the Ghostbuster books, but I also did the first and only Extreme Ghostbuster comic book that ever came out. And it turns out that in Russia, Extreme Ghostbusters is and was more popular than the regular Ghostbusters. So they're more into Extreme Ghostbusters than the other. So it's like a perfect storm scenario where I'll walk into a Russian social media website that's like all 55 and under millennials, all nerds, and they're all obsessed with Extreme Ghostbusters. So they would, dude, there's this unbelievable cosplayer I've been talking with. She's beautiful, like some of the best cosplay I've ever seen. And she does Kylie from Extreme Ghostbusters. And I'm like kind of picking her brain. I'm like, well, what were you into growing up and stuff? Dude, they were all about that 90s. So Extreme Ghostbusters, X-Men Evolution, Men in Black, Gargoyles. Like those were the shows that they were like super into. And that's like what was popular. So
nice. I used to love Gargoyles.
Crazy. Man.
Me too.
Dude, Gargoyles was rolling. I liked Men in Black cartoon, dude. That show was awesome.
Yeah,
it was
fun. Was better than the movies, in my opinion. I'm a little younger than y'all, not by much, but you know what I mean? Like I was just into Men in Black. I thought it was cool.
Look, fuck off, dude.
They don't get a lot of comics. Oh, dude, I've been deep diving into Russia. So somebody even hit me up the other day, and they wrote something in Russian, and I got Google Translate on my phone because I almost went to China a couple years ago. And so I'm translating what they're writing, and the first dude comes in and he says, "Hey, ya," in a Russian slang. And then another dude comes in and he was like, he will not understand that. He is foreigner. And and then I did a ton of research and I found like the Russian slang like response, which I mean, it took me probably like 30 minutes to like go through and pick like the perfect thing. Because there's normal Russian and then there's slang. So I'm in a whole nother world right now.
I have a really good old friend of mine from when I was in high school. He picked up and he moved to Russia, married this.
Really?
Yeah, he was all about. He was Mr. America, everything USA, and then
same.
He was seriously. Well, this is kind of funny. We're talking about Russians and what he does. He's seriously into computers, and so he went to work for a computer firm, got a job in Russia at a computer firm, and got married. And I still talk to him through social media and stuff, and he's. Man, he's loving. He's always like, dude, you have to come out here. You have to check this place out. You got to take a trip to Russia. And I was like, I'd love to take a trip to Russia.
I mean,
That'd be awesome,
your wife is half Russian.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, man, I'm creeping. So I'm looking at the social media over there. I'm not following that many people, but I'm adding. People keep adding me, so I'm accepting all the friend requests. Sure. And dude, we're in a. I'm not getting into this at all, but we're in a very like weird climate politically and stuff like that. I feel like it's dying down, hopefully. But we're fed a bunch of bullshit about Russia that's not true. Dude, they're awesome, dude. They're just like us. They're nerds. they're cool, bro. I'm telling you, dude, they're so cool.
The only difference is the dialect. That's it.
Yeah, the dialect, and I want to do more. I want to do more, but I want to do the best work that I can possibly do for them. I'm even put it like this, dude. I'm at the point of like I'm thinking about translating Night Stars and just putting it out in Russia for free. You know, like I'll just like at least the first issue on social media if I can.
That would be fucking. That would probably go over like fucking gangbusters, man.
They're thirsty, bruh. Like they're thirsty for. Everybody's focused. I don't want to. I'm kind of giving away my plan a little bit.
Don't say nothing. Like, don't say nothing. Don't let it out, man. Just hold your horses.
But yeah, I'm excited about it. But
you need to tell those Russian people that the MHOG podcast is coming because they need to listen to us.
Motherfucker, I've been telling you, dude. That's why I'm doing the research, dude. I'm telling you, bro. VK and drop MHOG. You know,
we're coming, guys.
They're cool.
Yeah, they. Anyway, Nar's great. He says he was when he got there. He was just really very accepted. Everybody was super nice. He says it's the type of that type of climate where a lot of you know here in the States, you got a lot of people you don't want to trust them, and no one's really friendly anymore. It seems like everybody's but over there he says everybody is just very open, willing to help. It's not like the country was portrayed.
Dude, yeah, it's not. Yeah, man, it's not Spies Like Us or something, dude.
No,
like
which is a great movie, though. By the way,
it's a fantastic. I've been listening to Russia with Love like nonstop. I keep sending it or like Sting or something. But yeah, man, it's yeah. So very much enjoying it, dude. And I'm excited to see where it goes. But
well,
yeah,
it's cool that you're doing the drawing, the streaming though. I think that's a great idea. Did it just come to you, or did you see somebody else do it, or?
A guy that I listened to on YouTube got booted and ended up on one of these websites. So I just went there, and then it just kind of sparked in my head, and then I just started, I just went down the rabbit hole, and I'm just like, what is this? What is this? What is Mixer? What is Twitch? And and I'm also on every other social media platform and stuff like that. I'm on Steemit. I'm on all those other crazy sites, Minds. Sure. So I just want to. There's a book I read in the beginning of last year. It's called 10X, and it's, take a guess what it's about. But that's the concept. So instead of just posting on Facebook, post on 10 social sites. Instead of posting on one stream, do 10 streams. Like, just put yourself out there, man. And I didn't do enough of that in 2019, and I regret it. So I already got 4 Comic-Cons set up for the year. Second one's one of them. Just going at it. First shit at the wall. Throw shit at the wall.
Throw shit at the wall? Did you just say that?
Might land in Germany. You never know.
Never know.
We're going to throw shit at the wall this year, guys. We're going to throw a bunch of shit at the wall. No,
I'm on Wayne's ass all day long while I'm doing it. I'm like, dude, you got to do this.
No, we are. We're getting shit together. Rum's going on a big vacation come next month, so he was going to be gone for the whole month of January. So I'll have to have some guest hosts, and I'd like to have you on a bunch.
I want to do as much as I can. So yeah, hit me up.
But besides that, that's the reason why we're taking our time with this. We want to set it up where it's right and everything is good to go. But it's only because Rum will be out of town, and then we have to organize things. No, I mean it's true. We have to do same shit together so we have like a decent stream. We're not like like an old man that needs like what they call that shit that when you pee and you can't pee.
Oh, catheter.
No, not a catheter. The medication you got to take. I don't
know what cranberry juice.
Something flow. I can't remember what it's called.
Good. I'm pushing 40, bro. I need that.
You need to know it. You need to know it, man. I'm telling you.
Been buying the big bottles and shit.
You old bastard.
IP freely. Yeah.
I feel good. I really do.
So Tim, were you just telling your nephew that you're going to do the Christmas lights, or are you going to do them?
I'm just doing the Christmas lights, dude. I love.
What a dick.
Dude, I don't feel like going to the fucking attic, dude. It's me and my cat, who I love, dude. And if he gave a shit, I would do it for him alone. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean, dude? Like we're what, like fucking 7 days away. I'm not.
Yeah. You're not that far.
You know what I did is I just got for the outside. I just got colored Christmas bulbs, and
There
stuck
you
them
go.
in the big lights. And I'm
You-
like, I'm done.
You know what I did? I got
Star
3.
motion things, and I was thinking about putting that in the front yard. But
I got 3 little blow ups, and I put them outside. That was it. They're good.
Yeah, well, yours are adult though.
Well, so people like it. They got Christmas trees on their heads.
keep doing that kind of stuff.
Neon
I got my
dicks.
neighbor across the street, and I feel guilty because I want to keep the culture alive. You know what I mean, dude? Like, I don't want to lose. I don't want to not put up Halloween decorations. I don't want to not put up Christmas decorations. So I feel guilty in that sense. So that's phony on my part, bro. You want to keep the culture alive, but
You are phony.
But I'm not doing it this year. So fuck everybody. Maybe I'll do it. I'll do it every 2 years. You know.
Why don't you do it this? Hey Tim, why don't you do it like this? For New Year's, put up Christmas decorations.
Yeah, I'm just a month behind.
Yeah.
Well, I'm diving into conspiracies this year too. So there's all kinds of weird stuff behind Christmas trees and
like
and
that
Satan
would
Claus stuff. So
dude, that would be like the coolest thing in the like if we made our own, not holiday, but day we put up month we put up Christmas lights, but we call it something else.
What, like March?
Yeah, like we put up a bunch of Christmas lights for March.
just randomly put them up.
Yeah, and we'll make like our own little
weird people.
Make like our own little characters and stuff.
That's so bizarre.
I'm trying to keep previous traditions alive. I want to pass it on. This dude's trying to make up new ones.
Let's make new ones, man.
Yeah, I mean,
no, I think a lot of people forget the old stuff though, and I like the older stuff. You know, I think
Christmas lights now.
Yeah.
Think about it, dude. I remember being a kid and it was lit up, dude. And I could go down now and I think there's a considerably less. And so that's kind of like, dude, I feel like I should put them up in almost like defiance, you know? I think of it as an act of defiance, you know?
It used to be a big thing for us to jump in the car and drive around and look at people's lights and, you know, and that sort of thing. Even some of the places we would stop, sometimes they would have a sign that says, you know, to stop, and you could get like hot cider or some Christmas cookies, and it was kind of a cool little thing. But yeah, man, no one does that anymore.
No, because you're not gonna go to a stranger's house to drink hot cider because there might not be hot cider. Why not?
You do it at Halloween.
I don't.
They don't do that anymore. Like, so my buddy has kids, and what they'll do is they'll all meet at the school.
Trick or trunk shit.
And yeah, trick or trunk, bruh. And so it's all people that you know, and you hand out candies. Again, back to circle around. When I used to go to the Dome as a kid, I remember like running up and down the ramps. They have these massive ramps. You could drive like 2 cars up these ramps. Okay,
yeah.
You know, goes to the top of the Dome. And I remember playing with random children and just, you know, running up and down, rolling, whatever shit we were doing. Dude, you would never do that now. You would never like just let some child, like my parents wouldn't. I could not imagine having a child and just being like, all right, you know, go play on the ramp with some strangers, and I'll see you at the end of the game. And then go have a few beers. Like, that's crazy. And this is.
I don't think anything's changed. I just think we've told ourselves things change.
No, a lot has changed, man.
No, I still think there's just as much bad in the world as there was. We just talk about it more.
That could be a possibility too.
A bit on this, dude. I'm kind of with Rum a little bit, but at the same time, I wouldn't let my kids go run around in the Superdome by themselves.
What if you don't really like your kids? Is that okay?
Then he shouldn't have had them. I'm kind of with you because I do think that fear is used as a weapon.
It is.
And I just heard this, and I hope I don't screw it up, but that anything that has to be manufactured, that means that there's a lack of it. And the news media and TV, movies, whatever, it's all manufacturing fear. Facebook is manufacturing fear. It's not really real. And I wish we did have more like community and like, I don't know, you know, but
that's more community outreach and shit.
The Dome, like it was the 80s or the 70s.
That'd be great.
Not even so much community outreach, just more community, more. Hey, you know, people don't just walk down the street anymore and say, "Hey, good morning." You do that, they look at you like you're gonna rob them. You know, it's like, dude, I just said, you know, whatever, fucker.
So I went on a date Sunday. Very good date. It was awesome, and it was I was telling Wayne this. It was kind of like it ended up going like a very traditional route.
Nice.
But it was in Thibodeau, which is a little more of a country area. in Louisiana. It's a little more bayou kind of spot or whatever. You know what I mean? And it felt a little bit like that. Like the girl lived in this neighborhood, dude. It was awesome, dude. Or her parents lived in the neighborhood, and yeah, we were walking around. We went and walked around for a while and stuff like that. And all the neighbors were out. That no dogs were on leashes. It was very interesting, dude.
It was like a Hallmark movie, is what it sounds like.
I'm telling you, dude. A lot of nativity scenes in the yard. Like everybody was decorating.
Nice.
It was cool, man. We went and walked around in like a sugarcane field, but all the sugarcane had been like cut. Dude, it was legit, man. It was like super legit. And yeah, you're not getting that where me and Wayne are. Maybe you can North Shore.
I think I can walk. I can go out here at midnight, and the only thing I'll see is like maybe a deer, and you know,
a female deer.
There's not a whole bunch.
I want a homestead eventually. That's what I want to. That's what I'm working towards for sure. I want to be with it. I mean, I'd kill the motherfucker. You know what I mean? I'd kill the deer. But yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Hey, deer. Note to self: stay away from Tim's house.
If you're a deer, yeah. But dude, how rural are you?
Right now, since I moved out of Savannah, rural is kind of weird here. I live on an island,
awesome.
with quite a. It's not, the island is 2.5 miles wide by 9 miles long.
Oh wow!
So it's kind of it's the skinniest island, but it's loaded with these gigantic beach houses, right? But year-round residents, there's only 330. So
I got you. It's like Orange Beach out here. We have a place like that, and the wintertime it just dies out.
It's dead. You know, I can walk 5 blocks and not see a car. You know what I mean? And not see a person with a light on in a house. But if I go across the causeway, now I'm in the rural area where you have cow fields and goats and big farms and stuff like that. So you actually have to go through the country to get to the beach, which all of a sudden you hit the beach, it looks like it's like a little mini Miami, you know.
Interesting. All right.
All you gotta do is cross the bridge and you're back. It's like your banjos. So it's weird.
That. I like that though, because then you're kind of Miley Cyrus, bro. Like you're getting best of both worlds. I like that. That's what I like about the in Louisiana.
Rum is not Miley Cyrus, dude.
I am Miley.
Miley to him, but maybe old Miley, Disney Miley.
Well, hey, I come in like a wrecking ball at times.
But yeah, man. So that you're not totally removed. You know, like you could still go to like a Walgreens, I guess, if you needed something.
Yeah, I got a Walgreens right across the bridge, but I'm 30 minutes away from Wilmington, North Carolina.
I love Wilmington. All right. Oh, dude, that's where Michael Jordan grew up. Cool.
Yeah, and I'm 30 minutes exactly the opposite direction. I'm in downtown Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach is cool, dude. Yeah, man.
So right in the middle. That's where I'm at. I'm just in the country portion.
Do you prefer it from living in the city?
At times, and then other times I want to pull my hair out. But it's kind of neat because like tonight, the one cool thing, I'm sitting here, it's dark, you know, you see a couple twinkles of Christmas lights around the island. You know, the house is kind of tall where I'm at, but when I'm looking at the ocean, if I go outside, you can hear whales. So that's kind of cool. You can hear
where you from, dude, you know.
Yeah, it's a cool kind of a weird transition, you know. But you hear the ocean all night long. It's just the quiet, like the waves hitting the shore type of thing. And then you go out and you can hear whales or hear, you know, you can see shrimp boats out in the distance. And it's kind of nice that way. Visually, I like it, you know. And then just on the other side of the house, I can see the intercoastal waterway. So that goes right behind the island. So you can see a lot of dolphins and stuff all day long. But
that's unreal.
So it's a nice place, but in the same sense, I got to drive 30 minutes north to go to Wilmington or 30 minutes south to go to Myrtle Beach. So I mean, it's just one of those things.
Plan ahead, you know.
Yeah.
For when you go to the grocery or whatever. I want to start farming. Like I've been practicing that the last couple of years. Just learning. There's a lot of trial and error in that process, which I wasn't ready for.
What would you grow if you farmed?
Man, as much as I can. I've been doing research. So
Carrots.
Now and we were going to talk about fucking ghosts, but I've been doing a lot of research on. You can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like so just I'm gonna start off with my backyard and see what I can get away with. I had a pumpkin patch going last year and stuff like that. I got a bunch of peppers. I'm even looking into stuff like cinnamon, all kinds of different things, man.
Oh, that's cool.
So
Yeah.
I want to max out my yard area first. And I think I found a good layout. Pumpkin patch I wasn't ready for. Like that was that expanded way more than I thought it was going to. Way more, man. Like that just took up like a giant chunk of the yard.
Oh yeah,
Man, why
pumpkin.
you didn't tell us, bro?
Huh?
Why you didn't tell us? We could have took pictures at your house.
Oh, what, the pumpkin patch?
Yeah.
Dude, I had like 2 pumpkins. Hey, but it's gonna be serious this year though, so be ready.
All right.
So I'm gonna start working on. I got a compost heap going, and I'm gonna do some cedar above ground gardens. I'm gonna have 2 of them, and see what I can pack in there. Whatever I can. I'd like to. What you also start to notice is that the wildlife that comes into your yard changes.
Yes,
I'm
it does.
telling you, it was unbelievable, man.
It's true.
The different things that would come in when I had the pumpkins and all the other stuff growing in the beginning of the summer. It was really, really interesting.
Well, to me, I was like, well, I grew a bunch of peppers and a bunch of like, tomatoes and things in my front yard, man. And you just all the different birds and squirrels and all kind of shit would just come up, and it was cool.
I didn't know you grew stuff, Wayne.
Yeah, I grew a bunch of stuff, man. I had,
dude, I got heirloom seeds if you want them, man.
Yeah,
dude. I'll hook you up.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
Like a lot. Because I bought like a ton of them a couple years ago.
Yeah, bro. That's funny.
Dude, yeah, dude. I want to get back to like I'm trying to get more back to the past is the future. You know what I mean? So
yes.
There's definitely something to it, and there's like a humbling factor. It centers you. So that would be the ideal for me, dude.
Now,
pump out a few little laddies, go grow some stuff, maybe some goats, some chickens, and draw some badass comics.
You know, dude.
Ghostbusters or
Nice. I want to say this it's kind of a weird show, and I know Rum hates it, but I'm going to say it anyway. No, I mean not our show. Our show is very weird. I watched this show on TV called The Alaskan Bush People. Have you seen that?
I've heard.
You need to watch it, dude. It's about a family who lives off the wild, basically. They're fucking
exciting.
It's a good show. It's fun.
Okay.
But they show like, how they hunt for their food, grow different things. They build shit. Dude, they built their own house out of the trees in the area that they bought. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they just cut the trees down and learned how to make their own planks. It's crazy.
These are things that people knew instinctively almost a few generations ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was talking with my mom today about school, and I was just telling her, I was like, I've learned more in the last like 3, 4, 5 years off of just like YouTube than I ever learned in school in my entire life. I was like, what a waste of fucking time that was.
Yes.
Like, why did we not have a class on how to do taxes? Why did we not have a class on how to like count or cook?
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't know. Fucking
practical
cook,
things.
Yeah. Yeah, just things, but I got chemistry and you get history, very very cherry picked history. You never get like stuff that's.
It's never the real history.
No, certainly I don't think anybody's getting the real history. And yeah, man, like these are things that you would just learn growing up. But like when the harvest, when to do this, when to do that, and it goes with like our bodies. It also lessens fear. It's also a fear thing too. When you realize how much food you can grow in your own backyard in a city, it kind of removes that scarcity nonsense that we're fed.
Right.
How much food can be grown in an area that you're not using. Like, what are you doing in your backyard? What are you doing in your front yard?
Right.
There's this Asian dude down on Cleary. His whole front yard's like lit up, dude. Like he's always out there like growing food. It's crazy.
That's
Dude just gets it.
weed plants.
Yeah, man, he's maximizing space. He's probably got all kinds of cool stuff.
And it's so simple. I mean, like to grow like the peppers and stuff that we did, we basically all we had to do was keep them watered. You know what I'm saying? Like they grew basically on their own. I mean, it helps. You have to do other things too.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, it's kind of like you can have 30 peppers on a tree, a pepper plant, and instead of going to the store and paying 99 cents per pepper. You know what I'm saying?
But I think the real question that should be asked, Wayne, is how many pickled peppers can... Never mind.
You're a pecker. How about that?
Yeah, pickled peckers.
Pickled peckers, pickers. What? That's crazy.
No, that's cool, man. But you're going back to something you said, Laddie, about cherry-picked history. I think you nailed that on the head, man. I mean, that you hit it hard, because that's absolutely what we were fed, was cherry-picked history.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's
So,
worse now.
okay,
It's
to go back
way
with
worse
the Russian
now.
thing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or something like a North Korea or all these other things. Do you really think that, dude? It's just all not. He who writes the history books writes history. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
he
we're
wins the
just fed a
wars.
lot of narratives about people and things, and ironically, with the internet, which can be horrible, but it's also a pretty amazing thing that that we're doing this right now, or that I can talk with all kinds of people about Ghostbusters in Russia from Metairie, Louisiana, dude, and just realize, wow, what an amazing and gracious people that the Russians are, that I've come into contact with. I'm I don't from my experience.
Well, touching back on what you were saying with Ghostbusters and stuff, getting back to you, man, you're on the show. What have you been doing? You said you had a few cons booked for this coming year. I mean, what's new on the pages for you this year coming up?
Well, I got a lot of pitches, and when I'm done this, I'm probably gonna do another show with Preston later, a buddy of ours, Preston Azevedo, who's a great little artist. That's what I like saying. He's a good little artist, man. Him and Travis, I keep calling Travis a good little artist, but they're super, super talented people. And I'm just working on pitches, man. I'm working on a Ghostbuster pitch that they don't know about yet, but I've been working on, and I've been actually drawing it on stream for my friends on VK, as well as some other projects that deal with properties. But most currently, what you will see starting in January is I was able to do a bunch of the covers for Ghostbusters Year One, which is going to be awesome, from IDW Publishing by Dan Schoening, Eric Burnham, Louis Delgado, who are underrated in the comic book community for the longevity of the project that they've been on, dude. You don't run into people that work on a project for like 10 years that do pull like a Chris Claremont. And so that starts coming out in January, and then I signed the contract today for Dragon Con and a couple other ones.
Oh, I like Dragon Con.
I've never been, and it ends up falling on my B-Day weekend, so that'll be pretty cool. If that goes well, I might start doing every year is going to Dragon Con for my birthday. So yeah, pitches is the other thing. I kind of figured out the game with comics. And just like gardening, a lot of plants had to die.
That's right.
Dude, I had to kill a lot of dreams had to die for me to learn how to do this. So now I think I've got it figured out, and I'm pretty confident I do. UNICEF will be a big factor in that. We're waiting to hear back on a few things from there.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, we will do more. But Year One is coming up first. So Year One from Ghostbusters, and it's going to be really, really cool.
I think this is great. That things that you're working on. These properties have been around for quite a while, and I love the new takes, the new incarnations, the everything that's being pulled from what I remember as a kid is still coming forward. I think that's amazing that like we had talked about on a previous show, the Mutant Turtles thing, and we've got the Ghostbusters thing and all this stuff, and these properties are still alive and kicking, and people, I think it's great because there's a whole new generation that's
because like we talked about, my kid is like fucking like infatuated with the Turtles, like hardcore with the Turtles, that and Ghostbusters, like those were his
Ghostbusters
things.
is about to blow up. Get ready, it's about to hit. You could feel the pop when that trailer hit the other week. Like I could feel the pop. Everybody knows what I do, so like I could just tell. You could just feel it.
Speaking of Rum, did you see the new Ghostbusters trailer?
Yes, it looks pretty damn awesome.
Well, I do have to admit, like when I saw that, dude, I was just kind of like, this is the greatest thing I've seen in a few years. You know, it's like this is
the chair and Ecto swinging around the corner.
Yeah,
and
dude.
When you hear that siren, dude, I was getting bumps every.
Same, dude. Same. I was kind of like, man, this is fucking amazing.
Another property. Let's go back. Let me hit something real quick. Since this is December and we are around the Christmas season, this Thursday at 7:30 on, I think, FX, a brand new, and they do this constantly. It's like a brand new Christmas Carol movie. You know, Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol.
Brian knows out, yeah.
And this son of a bitch looks freaking wicked. It looks very dark. Like this could be the fucking scariest Christmas Carol ever made.
Oh, I'm gonna check that out, dude. When it went on what channel?
It's on FX at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. So check your local listings for when it's on for you guys.
Yeah.
I'm not a paid spokesperson for FX, by the way.
Right.
But we will work for you if you guys need us.
But it just looks like it's going to be so cool, and I like the idea. Again, this is a classic, something that I remember watching as a tradition when I was a kid. And it's like every so often there's a new interpretation of it, a new incarnation of it. But then to see this one looks a little bit, it's filmed a lot like, oh man, the actual like the special effects they're using in this thing. It's very like Bram Stoker's Dracula looking.
Oh, nice.
It's bizarrely creepy.
So it's kind of like
I think I'm gonna dig it.
The goth version of Charles Dickens.
Yeah, I think it's gonna kind of maybe be my new favorite if it goes over as well as I hope.
Nice.
But
Burton's a Christmas.
You know what?
Yeah, there you go. That's it. Tim Burton's A Christmas Carol. There you go. That would be fucking awesome.
Which really got me involved with that I always got interested in ghosts. You see how I did this? We went from Ghostbusters to Charles Dickens, and now we're talking about ghosts. But
well, we really took a long way to get to that. like really long way.
Well, hey, we had to go through the agriculture section first.
Had to be done, yeah.
Had to be done. Anyway, yeah. So I think that's what really got me really interested in the ghost thing. What about you, Tim? You dig on ghosts? You not dig on ghosts? What's up?
Ironically enough, or not ironically enough, time may not be linear, but the first things I started drawing as a kid were no joke. We had that what is it called? Like zip? Not what is the computer paper with all the dot matrix paper? We didn't have a computer yet. My dad would bring it home from work. He worked at customs out at the airport, the Air Force Base. Yeah. And I would draw Ghost on the dot matrix paper, and me and my sister would hang them up around the house, and then we had our Kenner Proton packs, and we would hunt them, not making it up.
That's awesome.
Couldn't make that up if I tried. Two things that I used to draw: Ghostbusters and Jaws. And remember that comment later in the year. And so that's what got me into was to Ghost. Probably that's probably and I never really thought about it before, but that probably has a big factor in all of my I'm very much into the unexplained, the occult, conspiracies. Yeah. So that could be the genesis of it, to be honest with you.
I think it's kind of a blessing, though, if you think about it, that you were able to stick with something that intrigued you and sparked your imagination as a child, and you're still able to tap into that today. I think that's great.
Dude, the odds of that are just
astronomical.
I don't even think they exist, to be honest with you. No joke, dude. For real. Would draw Ghost. Slept on Ghostbuster sheets. Whenever like they would run out the library, I'd run into the other room and probably annoyed the fuck out my parents and stuff. But yeah, dude. So that started. So I love Ghost. I'm into I was very, very into them at one point. I kind of got stale on it.
Gotcha.
Not in a negative way, just
Sure. Well, we've been bombarded with a lot of ghost stuff over the years, so. There's a lot of ghost TV shows and stuff like that. I get you on that. It does get a little.
You see, Tim, he had a ghost break up with him and broke his heart, so he kind of got scared. He got stale with it.
Yeah.
You know,
it was very similar to Freud in the first Ghostbusters.
You know,
that's kind of.
He kept calling. You know, he's like, "Where's my boo?"
Where's my boo?
Actually, it's funny.
Come on.
Yeah.
You get points deducted for that.
No, dude, that was you just mad because the rum didn't think of that one first.
Womp womp. I thought it was good. That's a good dad joke, man. That's a good dad joke.
Thank you.
Slam, you got a dad joke comment.
Dude, all your jokes are dad jokes. What the fuck are you talking about? Everything you say is a dad joke.
I'm not a dad.
You don't need to be. You don't need to be.
Originals.
You're a bad uncle.
Well, what about you, Wayne? I mean, for everybody listening, you're both living down there in Louisiana, a very haunted city with lots of mystery and creepiness. I mean, what's your take on the whole thing?
Well, I can tell you a few things. Like when I was a kid, my mother would tell me this story. I still own the table. It's somewhere in the house. It's broken, but I kept it because it was my great-great-grandmother's table. Mm. And it was a little bitty small, like, not rectangle, like a odd-shaped table. It's like an end table that you put in, like, your corner of your house.
Okay.
And, like, just sit, like, a little something on it, you know?
Sure.
Well, when they were younger, my mom, her sisters, my dad's sisters sat around this table and were going to do like a seance thing. Like they were fucking around with it, you know, kind of doing like a Ouija board, not a Ouija board, but, you know, like trying to summons the ghost or something, you know?
That was big back in the day.
Yeah. So they were sitting around this table and what they would do is you would have to ask the table questions and supposedly something around like if something happened, like, you know, the table would answer you in some kind of way, you know, like who knows, like it would bump you or
sign language or
like it would bump you or it'd move or do something like that, right? Supposedly.
Gotcha. Okay.
So she said that, you know, everyone was going around asking it questions and it wouldn't do anything. It came to my aunt's turn to ask a question, and you don't ask it out loud. You kind of just, you know, think the question towards the table. And my mom said that the table, and she said she'll never forget this, or she said she never would forget this, but the table got up a little bit off the ground and hit my aunt 3 times in the leg. Now they let go of the table because of what it was doing. So
So the numbers are important. So that 3 is
something. Correct. My aunt never revealed what she said to the table for it to do this. Mm-hmm. But it was kind of an interesting story, and I was kind of like, and we still have this fucking thing?
Sitting with it, you know.
You
never found out what she asked, huh?
Never. My aunt would never say.
Well, does the table have a history of abuse?
That I don't know. I don't know.
That's a good question to ask it if it's still in the house. You know,
no, it's not in my. I don't think it's in my house. I think it's in storage. So.
Oh, that's probably a good. I think good idea.
Then. Table, all right. I was saying I was feeling stale on ghosts, and then you hit me with something like that.
You know, it's kind of it was interesting, man. You know, I mean, I was never a big believer until she told me this story. You know, and I'm kind of like, well, my mom wouldn't bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and back then, I don't think they were. I hate to say this about my aunts, but I don't think they were smart enough to kind of make the table go up and hit each other in the legs. You know, like you know, the magician tricks and stuff like that. You can figure out ways to do it, but I don't think they could do this. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of an interesting story. I was pretty, you know, blown away by it.
I had I was really into him with besides what I told you about with my grandparents were came to the country and they had their stories from other countries, you know, from Poland and Germany and places like that. So I used to get a lot of ghost stories from them, you know. Just you would call them ghost stories now, but they they treated them like village legends. This is what happened in the village. This is fact. This is, this was their name. This is what happened. And you're like, oh my gosh, these stories are amazing, and then, but they were very superstitious people. They had their own practices and their own way of doing things. I mean, there was a lot of weird crap would happen in our community with my grandparents and stuff. So it got me interested in paranormal for sure. And, some of the stuff you see, some of the things you hear, and you're like, well, I want to know more about this. And it's kind of neat that the culture today is a bit more open to talking about stuff like that, because back in the day, you really didn't talk too much about it. It was a hush hush thing. You didn't talk about it in mixed company for sure. But
which is weird, because at the turn of the century, everybody was into Ouija boards.
Exactly.
The early late 1800s, and after the Civil War. So what was going on was that there was so much death after the Civil War that people, I guess they were just so remorseful that they were trying to contact the dead, and Ouija boards were a big thing, I think, here and probably like maybe in France. And that's what you would do. So what Wayne was talking about was probably a lot more common than you would realize. This is another part of history that you just don't hear about. But yeah, that was a big deal, dude. And I'm not a fan of Ouija boards. I don't recommend them. But yeah, man, there's a lot of occult and stuff like that history that is just mind blowing.
There's a lot of that type of history that we usually associate things like that with like I was saying, like coming from, because everybody in the United States at one point in time was an immigrant. You all came from somewhere else.
Right.
But there's a huge history of those practices here in the U.S. that is not really talked about as much. Even the Native Americans had their different type of occult stories and practices and things like that. So
Wendigo and stuff like, dude, they did. And I personally, and again, I've been going down some deep dives over the last couple of years. Dude, I think a lot of this stuff can be based in some form of reality. Maybe it was misinterpreted, but
of course, I agree. I think it's all real.
Like we might look at it, dude. Even stuff like vampires, even all that kind of stuff. It was just it kind of got kiddified over the years and through movies and TV and stuff like that. So, dude, now I'm gonna pull a Rum. So when I'm doing my gardening and all this kind of stuff this year, I was having some bug issues, and I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of these bugs and stuff like that around the house. And I want to do things in a more natural way. I don't want to go and get like Roundup or some craziness that's going to make things sick, hurt the environment. And you know what you do? You know what the home remedy was? Garlic. Mixed garlic and water, and I put it in a spray bottle and sprayed it around the house and stuff like that. It got rid of bugs.
Nice.
So garlic, and we all know where that's coming from. So it's just kind of curious. There's a lot going on here, and I think now is very important, because I think a lot of people are out there figuring this out. And again, the internet plays a big part in that. And I think if we don't do it now, we might have lost it. I think something happened when everybody came back from World War II specifically that led to the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. And then now we're kind of like on this weird, I don't know, man. Like
maybe they were right.
It's almost kind of like we're fading back to the past, because there's too much technology in the world and people are just like, I don't know, they're afraid of it. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so much that people are like, let's go back to what we were doing before, because it didn't hurt anybody.
Wrong. Why would you? Now again, dude, like if I get sick, I'll probably take some Dayquil or something like that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I'm not gonna go chew on some fucking root.
Weather's weird right now. I'm gonna have a glass of tea later instead of taking a what do they call it when they give for sinuses?
Amnion?
Zerkoff or what the fuck they give you?
Did you just say Zerkoff?
What is it? What do they?
I don't zerk off nothing for sinuses.
Whatever.
You'll go blind if you zerk off too much.
Yeah. It might relieve some. It might relieve some pressure,
man. But yeah, well, maybe zerk off. Yeah, it came out weird. Whatever. know, but they got all these medicines. They're not. But yeah.
I like Zerkoff. That's funny.
Better, bro.
If you have a bad sinus infection, try Zerkoff. It'll beat it in a second.
Do a little Zerking off, man.
Hey, Tim, how are you feeling? Man, I got a bad sinus infection. I can sure go for some Zerkoff.
Yeah. Mind helping me?
Well,
So, yeah.
Well, that's a good. It's a good point. A lot of things are going back. They said, matter of fact, just past week or 2 weeks ago, there was a report on TV saying one of the best ways to clean the environment of your home kills 99% of most bacteria, molds, and germs in your house is to burn sage.
Dude, almost bought some sage at the Ren Fair. And there's another one, dude. What is sage used for in occult and in spiritual?
Cleansing.
To cleanse your house. Cleanse the buildings.
So that's two, bro. That's two we just came with, just randomly. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that so my theory is this, is that everybody knew what was up like pre-World War II and stuff like that. I think people had a bigger connection. Then we went into World War II. They weren't the greatest generation. They came back. They were all fucked up. All kinds of bad shit happened on both sides that they did too. Because after the war, there was a lot of shadiness. And then they didn't want to talk about it. They became drunks. I'm not talking about everybody, but they were fucked up. And they had a way of doing things that was very put it up fast, like get it done, just like you would have done if you were in the war. So if you drive down here on Veterans and stuff like that, you'll see different stores, and they're basically just warehouses, and they're just these ugly structures that were clearly just put up fast. But then when you look at the generations before that, they were putting up things, we just had the church that burned down, Notre Dame, but even stuff in America, just these unbelievable structures that
they were beautiful.
Clearly, just they were art, man. Like they were just so next level. And I think the whole culture got like that. And then those kids, the boomers, I don't think they were like loved by a lot of their parents and stuff. And then that's when they, let's get crazy and do drugs and Woodstock and all. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of see like how it all went.
Yeah.
And then it's our generation, and you can see it through media too. You can see it through movies. You can see it through a lot of things. And like I said, now we're hitting into this weird phase of when you got like Whole Foods and Fresh Market and natural remedies, and people are going back to what was there before, like what Grandma used to do.
Because it worked.
It was a culture. I think there was something culturally that happened.
Well, I got news for you. First thing is, I would never go back to what Kevin and Kyle's grandma used to do. If you caught the show prior with the powder puff.
Oh.
No, I don't. You cut me out right there.
So we're not doing the powder puff, the pussy, and feeding it to my kid. There was that, and then
all right.
But there's a lot of things that I wouldn't do.
When it comes to powder puffing some dude's grandma's pussy, I'm fine with just Zerking off.
Yeah,
you're gonna Zerk off.
There was a powder puff used to.
Right.
A lot of ladies used to use powder puffs to keep their stuff a little
sweat.
drier than that, especially in the summertime. Use a little powder.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fine.
But sure.
Wait,
but
this is
the
good.
same puff and the same powder she'd keep in her purse, and when they go to church, she'd powder their faces to keep their sweat off the face. But it was the same puff.
So they didn't realize that. They did not realize this until they started telling the story on the show, and Rum goes, "Was that the same puff?" And they were like, "Oh my god!"
Oh, dude, I'm about to throw up.
Dude, they lost. But here's the best. Here's the best part. Kyle said, "I used to chew on that thing." It was amazing. That was the greatest, like, coming to life moment for those two guys on the show. It was beautiful.
And they're welcome.
Yes.
They are welcome.
Yes.
Dark, man.
It
That's
was
dark.
It was dark. It was dark, but it was very funny. Holy shit, was it funny. They were like, "Oh my god, we had grandma pussy in our mouth."
That's but again, something old, new again.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I meant
And some things, sometimes you just gotta let the past die, bro. Kylo was right. Let's bring back fucking garlic and fucking sage. And just
leave the powder puff alone.
grandma's Power Puffs.
Use deodorant, okay? Oh,
that hurts.
Oh my God.
Well,
But
this has been an interesting show.
But we're talking about like you talking about the span of age and differences between the generations.
Yeah.
Like I was telling Rum earlier in the week, we have this student that's at our work, young guy. In fact, today is his birthday. He turned 17 today, and he wants to become a veterinarian. So he's at our work just observing things to see if he would like to go and spend 8 years of college. You know what I mean? Like, it's a long time.
Right, you got to be super smart to do that shit.
Yeah. And I mean, he's a real smart kid, and he's cool as shit. And like I said, we're talking back and forth, and you can tell, like, like today I was asking him things like, we were just bullshitting about music and bullshitting about movies, and like I told him I forgot what it was. I was watching a stream of Kevin Smith at the Star Wars premiere, and I was watching it, and I was like, you know who Kevin Smith is? He goes, no. I was like, okay, well, let me show you. And I showed him a few things. He goes, oh, yeah, I've seen that guy before. I was like, okay. Then I asked him if he knew who Rob Zombie or Marilyn Manson was. No clue. No clue at all. And I'm going, this is crazy, man.
I mean, that would be like asking about, I don't know, somebody we don't know. That was just important for our generation.
Well, I'll put it this way, dude. The only people I don't know is the music today.
So you're talking about a dude, and we're talking about like a 10-year gap. Like how old do you think he is?
No, he's 17. That's a big gap.
Something like that.
It's like a 45-year gap for Wayne. Yeah.
Eat my shorts. It's not. Right. It's not.
Dude, imagine like 100 years. Imagine.
Right.
200. You know what I mean, dude? So we're talking about lost history and stuff, and things that are just, I personally believe, intentionally wiped out. Yeah, man, you can just see how quickly Kevin Smith's about as big as it gets. So the guys you just named, Rob Zombie, stuff like that, they're probably about as popular as it gets at that time period, and dude, within half a generation gone.
That's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm saying is like, if we don't tell these kids about certain things, or if their parents don't tell these kids about certain things, they're going to disappear. And I mean, I'm not saying about Rob Zombie or those people. I'm just saying in general, like other things that are important. That
could be like Christmas lights. If you don't put importance on it, I'm going up in the motherfucker and doing it tonight. Fucking, if you don't put on it, it's going to be gone, bro. You're going to lose it, dude. So there's things you got. So I'm very big on culture, man. And that might be the culture of your, like you were saying, Poland or Germany, or I might be, Irish, Croatian, whatever, or it might be your local culture, because now, we have a little bit more of that, like with Louisiana culture.
Yeah.
And every culture has a level of importance too. It's not just one culture or another. It's all cultures have an importance.
Absolutely. I want all cultures to stay, but you have to protect your own.
Exactly.
I want New Orleans to stay New Orleans. Like, there's a lot of people that don't want certain stores to be built in like the French Quarter and stuff like that, because they don't want to lose that whatever charm, if you can call it that.
We don't want to lose the 66 murders a day in the French Quarter. Awesome.
Right, by building like a Dave and Buster's or whatever. But like we were just like, I haven't been to Savannah in a long time, and you're like, dude, you're not even gonna know what it looks like. Dude, I mean, I can go back and it's not even the same. It might not even be Savannah to me anymore. It might not be,
No, like it's so funny. That's one of the only towns I've ever been to that has really spent the time to solidify their history. Like taking they throw a lot of importance on things that are old, need to be brought back. They may not be the same thing. Like, it may look like the original, like there's this 1733 building sitting in the middle of town, that was dilapidated. Well, now it's restored. It looks great. And then you walk into it and you're like, this is the most modern restaurant I've ever been in.
Right.
Is that the one that when they were digging up the whole street? Remember when they were digging? Remember when they were digging under and they found like all those skeletons and shit?
Yeah. That was another one. They found a whole freaking mass grave.
That was fucking nuts.
Pirate trade that used to go on out in Savannah. Yeah, bro. They had all them tons boats that they'd kidnap people and bring them out to fucking Thailand or Wilmington, and they put them on the boats.
Yeah.
There's one. So again, been deep diving and got into this whole thing about how lost history and how there were that we're inheritors of this world more so. It's going to get too complicated, but I found something that used to exist in New Orleans on St. Charles, and it was the St. Charles Hotel. Dude, this thing, they have like 2 pictures of it. They have it looks like the White House, like or some kind of Greek structure with the dome and the pillars and everything.
Wow.
But like it's like 10. And it would be on like, and I'm just like, dude, where the fuck did this thing come from and go? Like, how is this built in that short a time period? This dude, it had to be a few blocks wide, and
wow.
it was world renowned. It was the St. Charles Hotel, and it burned in a fire, and it looks like it lost the dome. And then there's another one, and you can only find like 2 pictures of it. Like, there are like no photos of it, and now it's been replaced, and like something else is there now. There was another like Masonic lodge that was, dude, the designs and the details on this probably littered with symbolism,
right?
And it's gone. It's just like a Hilton now, downtown somewhere and stuff like that. So there is stuff going on in this world, and everything is done. There's a code that's going on. If you know the code, you can kind of see it, man. So I've been kind of like researching the code. It's really, really interesting.
You definitely can get. I'm with you, man. I get down those rabbit holes myself, and I get. It makes you appreciate what's around you a lot more too. When you're actually you stop and you look at something and go, oh, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
well,
that's
look at
weird.
That.
Yeah. Well,
they all supposedly went down through fire, which I don't buy a stone structure going down by fire anyway. But yeah, that all goes back to the whole thing where you put up like a grocery store and it's just some fucking tin warehouse,
right?
And then these people have these obelisks and these dome hotel I'm wondering if it was even a hotel. I mean, this thing was so opulent, and they have drawings of the inside. I was obsessed with it for a while, dude. The St. Charles Hotel, just absolutely obsessed. But there's so little information, it's just like you just run into a dead end.
Look, before we end this show,
we talked like nothing about ghosts.
That's okay. Well, I have 2 stories. Not 2 stories. I have 2 things to say. One, I want everybody to stick around, like not stick around, but wait, like I'd say another couple weeks. Or maybe when Rum comes back from vacation, we'll have a very special episode of the MHOG podcast, which is going to be our little Ghost Grabbers segment. That's not going to be a segment. It's going to be a whole show. It'll be me, Justin, and this gentleman here, and we're going to run through a bunch of paranormal and all kind of crazy stuff. But we're
going to have it all worked out. We're going to start with category 1 and work our way down and have conversations about all this stuff.
So make sure you guys check out for that. It's going to be cool. It's going to say MHOG Podcast Presents, and it's going to be the Ghost Grabbers. But my story is, before we leave, is my father did a lot of like hunting, not really hunting, but like he did fishing and camping and stuff, and he was like really into astronomy and things like that. One time when he was out frog hunting, him and his cousins were in the middle of the fucking swamp in Lafitte, like back there,
hitting those big frogs.
Yeah, for real. He was they were out there for quite some time, and my dad said that they saw this weird, you know how you hear people talking about orbs?
Yeah, sure, dude. I know a friend of mine sees orbs. She's out in London. Dolly Daydream. Go follow her on YouTube.
My dad saw one,
check her out,
or saw 2 in the swamp. Like, he was out there, they were doing it, and they when you go do frogs, you don't leave your light on. You have to have your light off to go into the swamp, and then you turn it on when you when you gig in the frogs. So they had their light off, and both of them, they both saw this. It looked like it was in the water, and it lifted up and just shot off. And they were just like, what the fuck was that? So they that's, I don't know what these things are, I don't know what it is, but it's kind of cool that that's another one of the cool stories that I got from my parents when, they would tell me stuff. So.
And that's some of the stuff we're going to talk about when we do the Ghost Grabbers.
Exactly. So.
The world told, bro. I'm telling y'all right now, bro. I firmly believe that it's not what we were told it is.
I agree.
So yeah, it's very interesting. I think people are figuring it out.
So guys, I appreciate y'all joining us. Tim, thank you for coming on the show again, man. It was fun.
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
But like I said, he'll be around. He'll be around for a little bit, some other shows, because I need some special guest hosts, so he'll be here.
I'm in.
So anyway.
And talk about not the topic for another hour.
yeah, for real.
Well, we have such a good time. It's hard to keep
fucking
up.
St. Charles Hotel and pissing in the Superdome instead of Ghost.
Anyway, oh shit!
I tried to bring it back, man.
You did.
Dude, that was a valiant effort. Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, I was your host, Wayne.
I'm the Rum Guy, and that was Tim Laddie.
And remember, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to keep it metal!
That's it.
Get the fuck